Hello my friends, and welcome to the other video of today, this time about Israel, the situation around Gaza. We may say that Israel gained the previously lost territories because of the Hamas attack, and this time they're just dropping bombs all across Gaza, as they say, hitting the Hamas infrastructure. On the northern part of Gaza, Israel uses the Apache helicopters to target the Hamas positions. There were numerous of the videos published about those events. Mostly I published them on my Telegram channel. The ground operation of Israeli forces in Gaza is yet to be started, but we all know that it will be started. After what Hamas brought to Israel, basically Israel doesn't have the other way out. Sadly, but this operation will bring lots of the devastation to civilians. I would blame Hamas for that as well, because they're under control of this territory, they are responsible for their people. But what they do right now, they tell to the people, stay in your homes. They're not trying to evacuate them from the Gaza region. By the way, Egypt somehow blocked the way out for all of the people from Gaza. However, I still believe that there are some of the way outs for civilians to leave Gaza into Egypt. It is probably the only variant for them, sadly. Here I do not support people suffering, but at the same time, I understand that Israel will perform this operation no matter what, because they cannot afford those attacks that happened from Gaza to repeat again. Just recently they lost 1,200 people, mostly civilians. The Ukrainian embassy says that 9 Ukrainians lost their lives, 9 more missing, and 17 wounded and now in the hospitals. Israel drops the special messages for locals to evacuate at least the northern part of Gaza. Now we can see that the most of the shelling is happening out there. It is not the first time that Israel shells the buildings in Gaza. Before, they got the practice to drop the dummy bomb, and next at the same house they dropped the real bomb. They did it for people to evacuate and only after that destroy the Hamas buildings. But at the same time the Hamas officials and Hamas soldiers also left the building. Now Israel changed that tactics and dropped the bomb, the real one, immediately. The Hamas group may locate its offices in every civilian building, in the shop, in Barbary, in every kind of the building. And locals should obey with that. They don't have the other choice, otherwise Hamas would just eliminate them, as they eliminated the Palestinian government with the same style in 2007. They were the competitors for elections and Hamas just dropped them from the roof. Yes, Hamas just got rid of the Palestinian officials. Because of that, I don't think that we may compare Palestine and Hamas. As for me and as for civilized people, Hamas equals ISIS and should be eliminated. But what they do right now, just not to be eliminated, they took their own people, Palestinians, as the hostages. Also, they took some of the hostages from Israel territory, including the citizens from the foreign countries, like for example from the United States of America. So do not ask the questions why the United States is sending their air carriers to the place. At the same time, as I said to you before, Israel cuts all the supplies to Gaza region, and from what I understood, the only electrical power plant that they got stopped operating because of the fuel starvation. I wonder how people may continue to live on that highly populated territory. I think Egypt finally will not able to stop them from fleeing into their country. I think it will end up with that. At the same time, Israel also suffers because of the Hamas rockets attack on its territory. By the way, Hamas launches the uncontrolled, unaimed missiles, which could potentially target everything. Recently, one of the missiles hit the Kadyrov's mosque. It was built there on the money which he stole from his Chechen people. Also, as I already said to you, every 5th citizen of Israel is Muslim. So the rockets which were launched by so-called Muslim Hamas may potentially target Muslims. So it is not about religion. Hamas is just the terrorist group. But potentially Israel may have the other fronts open against it. For example, the Hezbollah group on the south from Lebanon, which already used mortars and some of the missiles to target Israeli territory. Israel responded with airstrikes and artillery fire. There were also some of the attack attempts from the Syrian territory. That's why Israel launched the airstrikes on Damascus airfield. They promised a strike on the airfield around a couple of days ago. They say if Syria tried to influence, Israel would respond with targeting Damascus, and not only. Speaking about the West Bank with a legal Palestinian government, unlike in Gaza, there could be also some of the clashes because some of the locals do support Hamas. To eliminate the threat for the local Jew communities, Israel officials start to give weaponry to its citizens. I tried to research this topic about the weaponry legalization in Israel for civilians. Even though the vast part of the population goes through the military training, still they don't have the laws like in the United States of America with the Second Amendment. Pardon if I'm not correct, maybe I researched in the wrong place. What Google says to us that just 2% of the Israeli population have guns, compared to 30% in the United States of America. And in Gaza, do you know they have the law for that? I don't think so. In Jordan, there were some of the protests for Palestine, and that's it. I don't think that Jordan will try to enter the war against Israel. So basically, the biggest threat for Israel comes from the Gaza Strip, also the next one from Lebanon, and next one from Syria, and there are probably some of the clashes in the West Bank from the Hamas supporters, because there are some. Speaking about the other enemies of Israel, like for example Iran, I don't think that they will intervene Israel. They are really far away from Israel. What they may do is to support their groups of Hamas and Hezbollah. Saudi Arabia was up to sign with Israel some sort of the agreement, and now they stopped negotiating. But Saudis will not support any kind of the force against Israel right now, together with Arab Emirates. In general, they are more or less allied to the United States of America, but Iran, no. So Iran plays this game in Israel together with Russia by sending the weaponry and providing the training for the Hamas forces as well as for Hezbollah. The Iranian-backed forces in Yemen say that they will join it, but they're definitely far away from Israel. So I don't see the way for them to actually go there. Maybe some of the small groups will be delivered from the Egypt probably. So with this new official war that Israel proclaimed, the situation for it is quite hard, but history knows that it was much harder for Israel before. So I think that it will handle it. There is no question about the Israel existence, as Russia says on their TV channels, that the Israel will be over soon. Plus, with the United States at least one air carrier or maybe two, the threat from Iran mostly will be eliminated. However, this war may continue for quite a while. Israeli officials say about 1 month, but I expect it to be more than that. You just cannot predict what might happen in Gaza, what losses Israel may potentially have by going to this very highly populated area with lots of the buildings and Hamas forces waiting for them behind every corner. So what they do right now, they eliminate all the possible threats for their infantry in Gaza. For that, they use lots of the JDAMs delivered to Israel by the United States of America. Israel already got rid of many of the Hamas officials, but as it was reported at first, the Hamas leader is still alive. Here you can see the Israeli fighter jet F-15 with those bombs just underneath. From what I understood, it may carry 4 of them at once. Plus, they use the artillery systems. The Israeli counterpart doesn't have that kind of the weaponry, the artillery systems, or any kind of the sophisticated air defense systems. That is why Israel is free to use them over Gaza or any kind of the region. As for the Israeli tank Merkava, guys, I was wrong about its armor. The armor of the turret is really strong, plus it has the special system that may intercept the anti-tank missiles. It is awesome because we saw that Hezbollah is using the Russian Kornet anti-tank system. The base of the tank, however, has less armor compared to the turret, and this front lower part of the base could be quite vulnerable, but behind there is the engine and couple of the walls between compartments, so that stops the enemy shells and also missiles. In a modern modification Merkava 2 and Merkava 4, it has 120mm cannon. Actually, it is the German licensed cannon which was modernized by Israel. Plus, obviously, it has the modern aiming equipment. This tank is quite robust against the RPGs, so potentially it might be used in the Gaza. However, we already saw the videos how Merkava tank was targeted by the anti-tank missile, and also once from the drone to the forward part where the engine is located. Every tank is not ideal against the modern-day weaponry, so Merkava too. What we know that there is the big planning of the ground operation in Gaza ongoing just right now. Israel sends more and more reinforcements to the border with the Gaza Strip. It is just impossible picture for Ukrainian war where any of the sides is unable to locate that much of the forces close to the front line. But Hamas doesn't have the precise weaponry to target the Israeli forces. The uncontrolled missiles may hit somewhere, but they don't know where. By the way, today I posted on my Telegram channel the way how they make those uncontrolled missiles. How you may guess, from the tubes which were supplied to Gaza by the European Union for humanitarian support. So firstly they dig those tubes to the ground, they showed the European Union that they did something, and then they dig them out and use as the base for making the missiles. Moreover, they continue to film the videos how they use the European tubes to produce the missiles which may hit everyone on Israeli territory, including Europeans. The Commission of the Congress of the United States of America recommends to prepare for two of the big wars with China and Russia. You already know that the world we know for many years and decades stopped existing. Now it's been divided into democracies and autocracies. So who is responsible for most of the madness that happens to the world recently? China, Russia, and Iran. Moreover, Iran wants to have its nuclear weaponry. In no any other way we should let it to happen. China and Russia is more than enough for that. Obviously, tensions would rise and we need to prepare for the possible conflicts. For now, those are mostly the proxy conflicts as it was since 2014 in Ukraine. Now it is the full-scale war in Ukraine. Again, the proxy war in Israel that was sparked by the Hamas attack, which is backed by Iran. Iran wants to destabilize the situation mostly in democratic countries in Europe where there are lots of the Muslims. That is why they're calling for some sort of the outrageous acts everywhere. We understand that China will have the recession in its economy, so they're looking to deviate their attention and take Taiwan. They have the plans for it, and recently their aviation started to fly very often, penetrating the territory of Taiwan many times. It has never been like that before. So clearly those are the big challenges that the Western society faces with. Still, I think that democracies will be able to cope with those threats. But to stop the big war from happening, I think the Western society and Western countries, first of all, leaders, should show the strength of democracy, should show that we are united. I understood it since the annexation of Crimea. Sanctions were applied for Russia, but they were not really hard. So just after 8 years, Russia started the full-scale war against Ukraine. The same will be with other countries. If Israel doesn't respond right now on the threat from the Hamas, it will be just eaten by the other players or neighbors which are not very friendly for Israel. The same for Taiwan. If you let it go, China will take more ground and will be more powerful. Basically, it will lead to the down of democracy. And we will all enter the unknown era, which will be more brutal than it is right now. So those are the messages which Israel sends to civilians in Gaza. They drop them from the skies. They ask locals to leave their homes because there is the possibility of the Israeli strikes on their houses. But Hamas confiscates all of those papers. They want people to stay in their homes and suffer. The State Secretary Blinken attended Israel today. Blinken said that the United States will continue support its ally Israel. By the way, the United Kingdom will also deploy some of the ships near to Israel, showing the solidarity in support of the country together with the United States of America. My friends, tell me your opinion whether you like to split the videos into Israeli topic and Ukrainian topic, or should I do everything at once? Well, nevertheless, I'm gonna keep you updated on the situation around Israel as well. And don't forget now to press the like to this video. And also, if you want to support my channel, you may do it by following some of the links in the video description just below. Special thanks for my Patreon supporters and the sponsors of my YouTube channel. Guys, you are awesome. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.